Y'all used to be them happy people. Hey, family, I'm see some of that.
Hey,
It's good to be here. Good to be invited somewhere back more than once. When I got here, I wasn't invited any. I kid you not, I wasn't invited nowhere more than once. I wasn't even. I moved back in my parents' house and wasn't too welcome there. But and I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight. I was talking to Archie, and he said, "What's your topic?" And I really didn't have one. I just somebody had said something about man, I love the program, but that fellowship, and they went into that, and my first thought was like, man, it kind of seems kind of difficult to work the program and not be a big part of the fellowship. To me, you know what I'm saying? Because and where I come, what I want to say with that was when I got here in May 22nd, 1986. I got here and they laughed at me for about 12 years because I finally made it back here after at least a dozen white key tags, which should have been about 40 or 50, but I wasn't. As long as it's all about alcohol and a drug, and I don't buy that BS. It might be for y'all, but not for me. And I always end up with another white key tag. But a lot of the days I didn't even pick them up. But they laughed at me because I finally got clean after a while, and I said and I read how it works, and I leaned over to a buddy and says, when did they put this in here? Like, he says, man, your little dumbass, that's just been in there like a long time. You just hadn't seen it, and it's funny today too, because if I hear somebody say, I ain't got a problem with alcohol or something like that, I'm like, well, leave it alone. You know what I mean? It's like, you ain't got a problem, don't tell me, I specialize in telling people I didn't have a problem with something so I can poison myself some more, you know what I mean? And to be invited back, like, over and over. I had 9 guys in my city when I got here. I'm talking about before I got here. But then when I got here, when I finally got serious about this thing, I had 9 guys in Albany. And when I finally got serious about it, I asked the first 8 guys if they would sponsor me, and they politely said no, but I could have their number. So I got all those guys together, and I needed this program. You know what I mean? I really needed this program. And I needed this fellowship. You know what I mean? I need the fellowship for everybody. But I got all the 8 guys together and said, listen, man, I don't want to have to go 40, 50, 60 miles to get a sponsor. We didn't have about 12 people in Albany at the time. I says, will y'all tell Sylvester he needs a sponsor so he could sponsor me? And I remember I didn't ask him. I began to ask Sylvester if he'd sponsor me. I'm like, hey, I need to talk to you. He says, yeah, what's up? And I said, listen, man, he was like, look, let me stop you right there. He was like, I know what you did, and I know what you're going to ask me, and the answer is yes, but just remember, you asked me, I did not ask you, and he walked away, but I told him, I'm like, man, I'm serious this time, I'm serious. And I had gotten extremely serious. I walked out of a treatment center with 91 Days Clean, and I said, I went from I was one of them anti-fellowship big-time people. I wanted this program. I come in about 8 o'clock, and I stand by the door, and at 9:05, I was gone. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things I remember telling them that last time, I'm like, look, man, I got a sports car. Y'all ain't going to be able to leave me. And they would ask me to go for coffee. I'm like, man, I hate that nasty about coffee, Ask me to go bowling. I'm like, man, stop talking. I'm not going anywhere with your nerds. I was just a knucklehead. And that's, why people would sponsor me. And I had no idea what I was up against. I had no clue. As a matter of fact, I remember them telling me I had 4 days in a facility, and they had 6 spots that they could have given, people throughout the year. But they said, well, you don't have substance abuse insurance, so we're going to have to let you go, but we'll try to help you get somewhere. And I seriously thought this. Yeah, I got this. I'm good. You know what I mean? 4 days. 4 days. I've been to one meeting. You know what I mean? And I thought I was good, and that's what I say. I really had no clue as to what I was up against. And one of the things I say about the Just for the Day program, November 1st, I celebrated 32 years clean, but I remember picking up a year clean and saying, I'm getting this program figured out. And I remember picking up 15 years clean and said, a year clean, I said, I'm getting it figured out. And I stand before y'all now and tell y'all I'm beginning to scratch the surface of this thing. You know what I'm saying? And something Neil was talking about. Neil's my grand sponsor. And one of the things he was talking about is just like something that was showing me real early, because I had questioned everything. It shouldn't have been questioning anything as much as I had my ass handed to me. I shouldn't have been questioning anything, you know what I mean? But one guy told me early on, he said, you know, I was questioning somebody's death. He's like this is, you just are, and you got to just be grateful you're here. And he said, man, a lot of times it comes strictly down to acceptance or surrender. You know what I mean? Because I was such a knucklehead. I remember somebody saying like, well, 2 + 2 = 4. And I'm like, oh, who came up with that equation? You know what I mean? Just, I was my worst enemy, you know? And one of the things I realized through the fellowship and the people that hung with me, people didn't hesitate to hurt your feelings. Like, you know, and they would say, we'd rather piss you off today than to bury you tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I thank all those guys for that, you know? I'm so grateful for that. You know, it really, truly changed my life. And I get like all kind of thrown off. So whatever I was just about to say before that, I don't know what it was. But the we of the program to me, I remember sitting one time and I had 40-some days clean, you know, and me not wanting to hang with people, not want to get coffee, not want to bowl. But I remember my grand sponsor was like, man, that goofy look on your face. And I'm like, man, this program is easy, but this shit's really simple. I'm like, you know, every time I started thinking, and I'm like, I guess my disease is 1.5 times stronger, quicker, faster, and smarter than I am. Because every time I think, it's another white key tag. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm so sick of them. You know, I really was. I was disgusted with them, but they told me to get them, so I got them. You know what I mean? But I says, man, it's, you know, I've never been there. I'm like, I think I'm kind of sort of starting to get in touch with a little bit of freedom for myself, because I remember before that, like I was just thinking, man, just shut up, brain, before I stick you with a toothpick or something like, you know, I just never could get any reprieve or any relief. And I've been pretty much just listening to them ever since and doing whatever it is that they said, you know what I'm saying? And I'll get into some other stuff about getting a little bit of clean time and become a little bit like, you know, opinionated and this and that, you know. But for me, those 8 other guys, and it wasn't a whole lot of 8 other guys, and it was 3 or 4 women. I ended up getting 6 phone numbers. And I said, you know what, if these people don't tell me to do this, I want nothing to do with it. And I talked to a guy an hour and a half on a Monday about some stuff I'd done. And I said, I called him on that Thursday, and I said, hey, man, I'm thinking about doing this. And he's like, no, what in the hell is wrong with you? We just had an hour and a half talk on Monday. I'm like, man, I guess my brain's is like out of Etch-a-Sketch. This addiction stuff. I couldn't remember the bad stuff. You know what I'm saying? I go back to it. And for me, that was the we of it. Like, you know, those 8 guys I could still call them. You know what I mean? But I remember going down to Fort Lauderdale in '87. And one of the things my sponsor, that's my current sponsor, he spoke now. And he said, you know, if you think the other fellowship is stronger than our fellowship, it's probably because we are not willing to make a commitment. And it was about 12 of us, and all of us are still clean. I think one of my past time, we're all still clean. I remember putting a freaking up bus, like, you know, and all that stuff. But we made a commitment. And one of the things I did was I made a commitment to H&I, other people made a commitment to certain stuff. We went from having 12 to 15 people constantly in the meeting to one time we had 88 people in a meeting in Albany, Georgia. One time we had 100 people. The fire marshal put us out. We had to go to, I think it was Mamie Bras in this little school, and we had to use the cafeteria. Yeah, they put us out, had so many people. And that comes from that word commitment. Bill spoke about it in Orlando, but Brennan spoke about it at Fort Lauderdale. And it kind of goes back to some Bo stuff. I said I'll get this stuff later. I'll share about some Bo stuff. But it kind of goes back to my sponsor one time. I was talking about he was, you know, Boyd said something to him, and he was huffing and puffing like that. And he was talking about like us having somebody to fall back on is one of the worst things that we've got going, probably, because he was talking about the other place didn't have anything to fall back on. But my sponsor kind of huffing and puffing. He was like, no, I don't mean that. I mean, we probably won't make a commitment if we got an out or we got something to fall back on. And my sponsor kind of calmed down. I was like, oh, okay. And you know, and some of our predecessors that are here today, and that's here, period. You know, a lot of us have been affected by them in so many ways that we have no clue. You know, I got clean in Albany in '86. One of the things I remember, this kid changed my life. I said, kid says, where were you last night, man? We need to talk to you. And that's one of the best things I kind of get cheered about, but it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. He says, he's like, where were you last night? I was like 2 kids, 16, 17-year-old white kid. We need to talk to you last night. Where were you? And I had a look, it was like, goofy look, man, you went back over there? He's like, man, they don't need you over there. They don't want you over there. Like, I wasn't welcome at all in the other fellowship. And I remember thinking, man, these kids are right. Like, you know what I mean? And I said, if I'm gonna be at a meeting, it's gonna be a Narcotics Anonymous meeting because, you know, from where from where I came, it was like, y'all can't recover over there, but you can't come over here. You know what I mean? Pretty much. You know, I had a guy put his arm around my shoulder after he had cleaned. I raised my hand to share. Guy put his arm around my shoulder after meeting, walked me outside. He's like, I think you see what's going on here. I got a noon meeting if you want to come to it, and you know. And I went to that for a while and started learning about traditions. And I remember telling him, I said, Jim, you know, you really kind of spitting in your predecessors' faces, like with this language and this and that. He's like, I just want us to all come here and get better, you know. And the guy knew me from playing football and everything. I played football with his son. I remember him saying, you know, you're a great athlete. I'm like, Mister, I don't know you from house care. He's like, my name is Mr. Pilar. He was Jim Pilar. I'm like, holy smokes, you're Scott's dad, you know. But for me, it was one of the best things that ever happened. I remember after that Fort Lauderdale convention, we all kind of went over there. We gave away, you know, the literature. We had our own book and all that stuff by the time. And a couple of people had different sponsors. We were like, we're going to believe in Narcotics Anonymous. Let's believe in it wholeheartedly. Let's get in a sponsors. Like, you know, I'll tell you what my story with that was. So it was just beautiful to be a part of and commit. There's a couple of cheers up here, y'all. But for me, also, you know, fellowship, and sometimes people want to separate different stuff like fellowship and the program. For me, there's real no separation. One of the things if everybody in here had like $1 million and I had this many $1 million, my one bet to you guys would be, I'm like, man, I can double up the money and give it to the family. My one bet would be I never, ever, ever, ever would live to see 25. You know, I was clear on that. You know, in some shape, form, or fashion, it was going to happen. You know what I mean? And for me, you know, Brian always, y'all always call me Smiley, but I'm like, man, this is all, you know, I've gone through a lot of stuff since I've been here. And when we talk about the fellowship, the program, I've been mom, dad, my brother, weird different ways. I've been 181 people that came here and thought, well, I can do it my way again. You know what I mean? And they go out and they do it. I have never thought, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that, because I don't forget day zero is the main thing, you know what I'm saying? And I don't forget the people that helped me along the way, you know. So for me, it's, you know, to be here, you know, it's Smiley, it's all gravy to me, you know what I'm saying? It's all gravy, no matter what, good or bad or indifferent stuff I go through, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I wasn't supposed to see 25, so my experience is like, you know, and I thought it was like real hurtful when mom died, you know, and it hurt when dad died. But I had 10 years clean when dad died. I had 25 years clean when mom died. I put a 25-year medallion in the program. And one of the things about the fellowship is, I remember they said broadly based on High Point of Freedom. You know, I remember going to Florida and I'm trying to get these I always get these hotel rooms. And one time I went and Gainesville was having a ball game and I couldn't get a room. Buddy of mine in Florida was like, man, if you rent one more room, I'm putting my foot so full up your ass. He's like, I got a house here. I never locked the door. And I can't believe, you know, you come in here trying to get a room and all that. And another guy says, no, you keep renting these cars for, man. He's like, look, bring your truck here, park it here. This is where I keep the key to this car. You drive this car down there. It's just an extra car, you know, and just stuff like, and, you know, a couple of times I got ready to go and guys like, man, do you want us to drive you down there? And you want an airplane ticket? Here, my folks work for the airline. You know, so for me, it's like, I used to always say, yeah, principles before personalities. And my sponsor every single time. One thing I couldn't say was two things. I know or I got this. He walked straight away. He walked away. I mean, seriously, walked away, you know? I know, but what did I say just before that?
I know.
Now before that.
About the airline tickets. Get your tickets.
I know I said something. Oh, principles before, you know. Right? I always say principles before personalities, and every time he's like, but that means you. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm into it with somebody about something, you know, or somebody else about something, you know, and he would always say, no, your principles before your personality. You know what I mean? And he put me in my place with that, you know what I'm saying? But so for me, it's like, they're in an addict out there that I wouldn't try to help. You know what I mean? They're in an addict. I know that I don't try to give a hug to, and I welcome them in. You know, and I've been a lot of different places, and I've had people call 5 or 10 years later, like, man, you know what? We appreciate it. You know, you have the whole group hug now. Matter of fact, I spoke in Tennessee a few months ago, and I had to pee like crazy. I'm diabetic. I mean, I had to pee. Like, I took off to go pee, and 4 guys met me right this way, right? 11, 12, 13, 14 years clean. All 4 of them had stories of how like you hugged me, and I got that from you guys. I got that from my predecessors. How because when I really every time I came back and said all kind of dumbass shit, they just welcomed me with a hug. You know what I mean? No judgment, no nothing. But all four of them, and one of them dad had just died, and he had 13 years clean. He was like, you remember you ran me down over the parking lot, and you grabbed me. We talked for about an hour. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, shit. We used to do that all the time at old school. So it was kind of common and natural for me. So as far as it's like, I see a lot of different behaviors and a lot of stuff around here. Even when you get some time, you get beliefs, you get personalities. You don't always agree with people about stuff. But one of the things, sometimes, if you sit down and talk, I sat down and talked with a friend of mine years ago, and it was like we may not be on the same page with stuff, but the one thing I walked away with was more spiritual harmony than I'd ever experienced with this person, And so for me, it's like I always say, a little communication goes a long way. And if I follow my disease around, it's like it don't need drugs and don't need me to commit suicide to get me miserable. You know what I'm saying? It's I got a situation going on now, man. It's I had a guy when I was in Albany. I had a guy that was bringing a knife to the meeting, and he was mad at me. I had to speak somewhere and told me he could ride with me. And I waited for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm like, man, I'm the speaker down there. I got to go wait at Willingway, And so I left him. So he got pissed, you know what I mean? And wait 2 hours. So he had a little knife out at me and all of that. And I used to agitate people. And my pops used to always say, man, healthy fear is a good thing like that. And I'm like, I probably missed a lot of that, Dad. I ain't got sense enough to be scared of a lot. I get angry about it, and react. But, and I need to talk with somebody here lately, though, because I think like sometimes with old timers, people try to push you out or try to bully you and this and this. And I just, and I hadn't said anything about it. You know what I mean? And one of the things about not saying something about something is like, it's a scary, sneaky little thing because, I grew up with like, you don't say shit about this. You don't want paper trail. You don't say nothing about this. When I was 4, my dad would take me to his girlfriend and they get you in the world troubles. I don't talk about anything, but I just need to say it out loud because my head has been crazy. Just crazy with what. It's a Just for the Day program. I promise you that. You know what I'm saying? It's a Just for the Day program. We might get reprieve or move from this and this and that. But if I don't live and work this thing on a daily basis, you know what I mean? And for me, it's so important for me to just love and try to help and respect and appreciate everybody. You know what I mean? Whether I agree, disagree. I learned one of the things I did though with that kid. I brought a gun to the meeting to kill him. Again, I've seen people get stabbed in the meeting, stuff like that. I brought a gun to the meeting to kill him, and I shared about it because I stayed away a few days. I'm like, I can't stay away from meetings, like, you know what I mean? Forget him, like, and I shared, and they got up and left. I'm sick enough that I shared his whole name and everything, you know what I mean? Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I shared the whole doggone thing. So one of the things I did, though, was I prayed, like he says, let me walk outside, coming back, and he walked back in. I'm like, my life is about to change, and your family life is about to change. And he had his knife. I was like, you got your weapon of choice. And I caught my gun, and he heard it. He's like, can I just give you a hug? Can I just give you a hug? And I gave him one, because I didn't trust me. I thought he was trying to get my pizza. I gave him a half hug, and this is real sick. I guess I kind of knew I had about 9 months. So I'm like, there's enough people around me to hug, enough people around me to hug. You need to get a new sponsor. That's my sponsor. And that's sick and twisted, but and I'm gonna tell you, like, one of the things a buddy of mine, Renee, told me, I was arguing with a buddy of mine, Renee, one time, and I said, man, I've changed 180 like this, and that's part of the wheel of fellowship. You know what I mean? Just open and honest, just communicating with everybody about everything. He's like, man, this guy, man, told me we don't change that much. Oh, crap, I'll change 180. My pops died. Somebody broke in and tried to rape my mom, my little sister. I'm always a protector. It's been years ago. I didn't tell, when I had 10 years clean. I told my sponsor when I had 20 years clean. Didn't say a word about it forever. I took my truck. I got on the back of my truck. I left it in Macon. I went to Albany trying to pay people to find the dude and all that. And I came back home after a few days. My other roommate, he gave me a hug at the bottom of the house. He's like, you want me to go with you next time? I didn't say nothing to him for 10 years about it either, you know what I mean? But he was always on top of stuff. But I thought, I told my old roommate, I'm like, I guess we don't change. I guess we don't change that much. You know, and that's what I'm talking about, like a daily reprieve. You know what I'm saying? What we get is a daily reprieve. And, you know, one of the things I want to talk about with the program, the fellowship also, when I got clean down in Albany, one of the things that happened, I've been selling a lot of my brothers and sisters a lot of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I started to do like steps 8, 9, 10. I started feeling guilty. I started feeling like crap. I'm like, I've done a lot of stuff to a lot of people. One of the things my dad said one time was like, he was like, hey, leave it. He used to always say, hey, leave everybody with a smile. And then the last time I talked to him, like, hey, leave, because I moved away. And I guess some people had told him some of the stuff I done. He was like, hey, leave everybody with a smile, because God knows you've left enough people to frown. You know what I mean? So I was feeling guilty about that. But one of the things that happened was we started a meeting. And we had the meeting going, and we were praying. Some of the people that were there, we were praying for newcomers, and we were actually praying for black people to come. And one of the things that happened when I had a year, this guy stood up and he says, hey, look out there. He kept telling me to look, and I'm like, what, man? What do you look? And it was like there were 7 black people that came and stayed, because he said black people come and they would take off. But one of the things that happened a little after that, another meeting got started over town on the other side of town, and I remember this guy saying, you still go over there? And I'm like, what the blank you asked me? I'm like, look, while we were praying for y'all to get here and come here to get clean, you know, those people saved my life. I'm gonna come here anytime I want. I'm definitely never not going over there. And I said, you know, and if you got an issue with race, man, you might not be ready for this thing, because, you know, something happened when I had 9 months clean. I remember I was on the phone and I was talking to a guy, right? And I saw this thing. It says my last name is Seymour. I guess break my name, but it says Seymour Lake Massacre finally revealed. And it had this thing where my relatives got hung and got draped by the rebel flag and things cut off. It was just nasty stuff. And I remember I got pissed. And I was like, man, white people like, you know, and I'm like, hey, nah. And I'm on the phone and I'm like, this is a white dude I'm talking to right here on the phone. I'm like, they didn't have nothing to do with it, you know what I'm saying? So I laugh and joke about, you know, why do I want to become a racist in recovery? You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of stuff in this program, though. Casey and I was going to go to a couple of different cities and just talk about unity in recovery as opposed to, like, you know, differences in recovery and racism in recovery and all that type of stuff, you know. It's sad. I got sponsors. We talk about fellowship and program, and one of the things that we got going on now, man, thank y'all for coming. We press send. 50, you know, 100 people laugh and 100 cry, and we lose a couple more newcomers. You know, so what I tell my sponsors, look, I believe what I believe, and I think I believe along the lines of unity, compassion, empathy, and all that. But I won't put anything. But I'm gonna challenge you not to put anything, because it's like it gets real divisive real quick. And one of the things I told Pop early on was, I said, Dad, you know, Dr. King said, like, we're more divisive on Sunday mornings than we ever are all week. I'm like, it's not like that in Narcotics Anonymous. And one of the things I'll have to say lately, though, it's I got a lot of phone calls, and I got a lot of people reaching out to me about a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, somebody was fussing at me the other day about Facebook. They were like, you just put a picture on there and get off. I'm like, yes, I do. You know what I mean? I might post a picture or post a repick or something, and it's like, don't even want to look at all the other garbage. You know what I'm saying? Because it affects people. People may not see it, but hell, my phone started blowing up left and right. Like, they might not come to different people and talk to them, but they talking to somebody, or they talking to the dope man again. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like being mindful of what I do, what I say. Casey told me also, 22 years clean. She's like, you got 22 years clean. Newcomers, people see everything you do. And I didn't buy that. And later on, I was like, man, you are absolutely right. I did something outside the meeting. This guy was way over here inside the meeting. You know, I'm like, man, you're right. You know, it was 10 years ago. I'm like, boy, people do watch everything you're doing. They watch what you say, you know, and they make, you know, they know how they feel with what you say. You know what I'm saying? I've had people leave meetings because certain stuff was said, jokes and this and this and that. But it's like, you know, the fellowship for me is, if the steps are not taking me there, why would I want to go there when it comes to, you know, who's affected? You know what I mean? That's in here or not in here. You know what I mean? It's like I try to live this way of life. And one of the beautiful things about my job is I get a chance to talk and help people And they think it's the most brilliant stuff. And it really is brilliant stuff. But we hear it all the time with each other. You know what I mean? But to them, it's like foreign stuff, and it's really good stuff. But we get, I get to practice these principles and carry this in all my affairs. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the beautiful things, just reaching out of here. And I've created some tremendous friendships outside of here because of integrity, you know what I mean? Compassion, empathy. I don't hesitate to give a family if they lost somebody or something happened. I don't hesitate to give them a hug. Matter of fact, I've had families like, man, our family didn't even hug. People that ain't even in the program, like, our whole family's hug, you know what? And everybody at work, we hug each other now, and that come from you guys because another thing I ain't tell you, when I got here, y'all tried to hug me. Donald came up to hug me. I was hitting him right there with my shoulder, knocking the wind out of him, I was afraid, you know what I mean? I was afraid of love. Anything that looked like love or anything healthy, I'm getting the hell away from. But anything looked like something that's about to kill my ass, here I come. You know what I'm saying? And hugs are just, they're love. They're compassion. We hug you instead of shaking your hand here because we want you to feel welcome and know that you're welcome. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just, I don't know, I wrote some stuff down. I never really, I never look at you were looking at it, but yeah, and staying in the similarities instead of differences. You know what I mean? If I'm saying like the fellowship is jacked up, one of the things I do, and Kathy said is for like, we've heard like if you had a meeting, you think, oh, that meeting was horrible. I'm like, did you share in the meeting? You know what I mean? If you didn't participate in it, go on and shut on up. Like, you know what I mean? Like you didn't bring anything to the meeting. But a judgment, and when I got here, the reason I am the way I am now, because my job when I got here was to judge every single person here. I didn't really realize that, but it was, and I did it, and I did it well. I remember when I got here, I was worse than maybe about 5 people, so I thought, it was worse than that. Well, at the end, I knew nobody in the room was worse than me. I knew nobody outside of the room, though. Where my best friend moved in the middle of the night one time, and I turned my lights off and snuck over his house. He moved again in the middle of the night. And that was my last best friend I had. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I knew nobody in the rooms or out of the rooms. And so I was like, I heard a little girl come from Carolina one time says, my sponsor said it's basically impossible to judge and learn. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? It's time to put the black rose down because this little disease was leading me down straight off of a cliff. You know what I'm saying? With all that judgment and all the other stuff. And that's why, with me, it's and if I've got a difference with somebody, I go up and talk to them. Sometimes 3 minutes of talking, like, hell, I had somebody, man, like, man, I was mad you for 3 years, talk to them 3 years. I'm like, I didn't even know her, But 3 minutes of talking a clip, like, 5 years of foolishness. You know what I'm saying? A little communication goes a long way, but, but, the thing about, and sometimes I get, sometimes I get like, man, why do I keep coming in? Because you deal with newer and newer people and they bring whatever they bring in. And most of the time they don't bring recovery in here. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you get caught up in stuff and it's just like, why do I keep, I talk to a newcomer, I talk to somebody else, like, oh, this is why I keep doing that. You know what I mean? But for me, it's, I always try to keep my side of the street clean regardless of what it is. I own my part of stuff, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Right, wrong, and difference. One of the things that I was telling a friend of mine years ago, I'm like, most people got 3 necessities in life: food, water, shelter. Like some people got 4: food, water, shelter, and somebody to blame. And I'm like, as long as you're blaming all of us, you'll never get any better. Because if that ain't my stuff, ain't no way I can work on it. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just like I'll stick with the food, water, shelter, look at my part, look at my aspects, and not get wrapped up or caught up, like, you know what I mean, in the foolishness that comes along sometimes. You get sucked in and pulled in some kind of way. So, and it's come to certain points. It's funny, I'm looking at Kat, you think about stuff. It's come to certain points where I've had to just walk away from people's lives, just completely walk away. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I've done everything I can, and walk away and just like, and you have so many more new people come into your life, and it's like, wow, why did I cling to this so long? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's just, you get people in that love like you love, and not like, it's like, are they patting me on the back or pushing me down the damn cliff? Like, it's a lot of people bring a lot of stuff here, so it's like, you know, what's my part in it and what can I do about it? And if I can't do anything at a certain point, maybe I just need to remove myself from the picture. You know what I mean? But there ain't anybody I know that won't tell you that I haven't tried to, you know, have some kind of conflict resolution, resolve, you know, help them resolve stuff. But you know, and a lot of times you see it, it's like, you know, a lot of times, like you used to talk about this endorphin rushes, you know what I mean? People like, you know, are like all them endorphin rushes and stuff like that. But I'm just like, no, I'm too old for all that, you know what I mean? Too old and too tired. So it's like one of the things they had always joke about is, you know, people be huffing and puffing and stuff. And sometimes you say this in a nice way to people like, man, you want to impress us, you know, work a step. But, you know, work a step because that's the real deal. You know, we can all do, you know, I sponsor Dollar guys. I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, I've experienced all kinds of stuff that's happened, you know, just all kinds of stuff. But the impressive thing today is come here and work a step. You know what I mean? Look at honesty, hope, faith, courage, integrity, willingness, amends, you know, forgiveness, brotherly love. I got 5 minutes left. Okay, thank you. You got to write on my paper. Anyway, but you know, so for me, it's just, I don't know, it's beautiful to be here, and it's beautiful to really, really, really try to get everybody I can into the solution and not about the problem. You know what I'm saying? I've created some tremendous friendships since I've been here. You know, thank you guys for coming out and coming down. Like, you know, I guess I ain't on computer much, but other people know more about stuff than me. But I don't know, but just, you know, I just like to invite you, if you think about, you know, struggling with somebody with like, you know, personalities or the fellowship or whatever. And one of the things I gotta say also, one of my, they was joking calling me old 37 at my last birthday, 87. 87, because a lot of change happened at 87. Yeah. But one of the things one of my sponsees said, he says, and I'm not like this with everything, but a lot of stuff, he's like, thank you for being flexible and being willing, open-minded enough to change something. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like if you, I don't know, it was different. You know what I mean? And we were kind of dug in with some stuff, with a lot of stuff. And a lot of shit's changed, man. And a lot of it drives me crazy. Like, you know what I mean? But I've affected some change. One of the things I was talking to somebody the other night about is, you know, we would ask people to go and get a list themselves. Like, come on, Donald, I want you to go meet these people. I want you to get these phone numbers. You know, we used to have 60 or 40 people in an H&I meeting. They had 8 the other day and they were happy. I'm like, this is sad. You got, you know, 10 times more people in the program now. Instead of getting up, going and we'll get you this paper, just sit there and this is how it works. It's a reciprocal program. Don't work like that. You know, take 5 steps, go get a list, get your own list, risk a little bit of fear. You know what I mean? Get in the face. But this young lady said something about like doing it both ways. And that's the way it's done now. It's done both ways. And it's just like, man, just leave it alone. Accept the both ways thing, because this is you know, that you ain't gonna stop that train either, you know what I mean? But I think I'll still spit that out from time to time if you want, because I had a newcomer come up to me. He's like, twice they gave me these lists, and he's like, I heard you say that before, and he was like, I threw them in the trash. And he's like, when I really got ready for this thing, I went up and got my own list, like I go get my own dope or anything else, and I'm like, this was my 5 steps. I go 100 miles to get some dope, and he's like, I got my own numbers, like you said, have faces to them, and I've been clean a year and 3 months now. I'm like, wow, good. Well, thank you. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, maybe I will keep saying my part, but maybe I won't be affected by them doing it, because I cringe when I see it. But lately I'm like, oh, well, it is what it is. It's one of the new changes, you know what I'm saying? So just being flexible and being able and willing to change somewhat, you know. I know a lot of us, we struggle with that stuff. I love you guys. Thank y'all for coming and asking me to do this, and I'm done.
We'd like to thank Cecil again for sharing.